Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of CampusCare EdTalks. EdTalks is a platform where educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints related to education and society. A topic for the discussion is community services for students' development, and to express their viewpoints on the same, we have with us Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, ma'am, Director of ITM Business School, Maharashtra. A very warm welcome, ma'am.
Thank you and good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you so much for taking out your precious time, ma'am.
Most welcome. It's a pleasure to be here talking to people about community service.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So let's start off with the session now, ma'am. Shall we?
Yeah, sure, please.
So, ma'am, firstly, how do you explain community service and how do you think is it important for the students?
I would say I'm nothing without a community. That's the kind of importance community has for all of us. And if one has to find himself, then it is important for him to lose in the service of the community. And so can you see this, the kind of deep connect that an individual has with the community? So that is what is community. If the community doesn't exist, there exists no individual. And building this community into a very strong system is the responsibility of every citizen. Community is like a larger home, and we are extremely dependent on everything in our neighborhood, and that's our community. So if each of us put in our little efforts in building the community, we can make a better world. Your other part of the question was how important it is, right? As I mentioned, your existence is wholly on the community that you create for yourself. And all of us, if we can really put in a lot of efforts in even building values in our own children to get closer to the community and be of help to the community, you can make wonders. So every parent, every teacher has a responsibility to make the students or their children understand the importance of community building. And for students, undoubtedly, it is a win-win. The community develops, at the same time the student also develops if there is that bond that he or she builds with the community.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a, very well explained community service by you. So moving forward, how do, community services helps a student to become a well-rounded student?
So again, if I have to talk about community service, it is as simple as, maybe taking your sick neighbor to the hospital, or dedicating your 2 hours, maybe in a week, for teaching the underprivileged children. Or it could be a little larger, in kind of giving yourself to the nation or nation building. So if we have to talk about community service, that little time that we can take from our busy schedule, and do not expect monetary returns, I would say, and that is true community service. Without any expectation, if you're able to give your best, if you're able to, reserve a little bit of your strength for building the community, that's community service. Now, the question about how does community service develop students? I think that's what you asked me, right? So every student who is part of community service, this is what I have observed, because, we have community service as part of the curriculum. I have noticed that there is a change that comes in the student, because he is either working with the underprivileged, he is working with the differently abled, he'll be working with, either in the teaching stream, with the deaf and the dumb, the blind. And what you realize is, that gratitude, you have been endowed with certain strengths by God, while there are people who need your support and help. Yeah. So that realization actually changes your perspective. You become more selfless. And it is important for students to develop that attitude, Because even when they get into the corporate, we are expecting that these students who become corporate professionals are able to give their little bit to the society.
Yeah.
How about time management? I have seen students having to really manage their time in order to give something to the society. So when we give them projects, when we give them, when they do their internship with the society, I can actually see them also managing their time. So the time management quality is developed. How about the kind of networking that you create? Because while you are working in the social space, there are so many others also working in the social space. There are organizations that have departments that are working in the social space. You're actually now kind of networking with so many of these people and organizations. So I think your networking capability improves.
Yeah.
Communication. At the end of the day, I think what is important is how you are able to build your relationships through right communication.
Okay.
So here, obviously, when you're working, in a space in the community, you are actually interacting with different kinds of stakeholders. Your communication skills develop. You know how to communicate with somebody who is deaf. You know how to communicate with somebody who does not have the kind of social status as you. At the same time, you also know how to communicate with those people who are already in the service of the community. So your interpersonal skills, your communication skills, your relationships become better when you are actually doing community service. And most importantly, that humane aspect of you develops, where you're able to understand the needs of the society, which again is very important and which is very gratifying. When you work in the society, the kind of satisfaction that you get, no money can buy it. That's the kind of satisfaction you get. Plus, I feel, and I have actually witnessed students getting more confident. So when they're working in the social space, you actually find that, there is that aspect of these students which is ignited, that confidence that I can do something. I can work for somebody. I can do something good in the society. That itself is a spark of confidence that develops in the students. And so I feel that, it does immense good for the students. At the same time, there's a lot of good that happens in the community. So there's always, I would say, they both get the best out of whatever is happening and whatever interactions take place.
Absolutely, ma'am. It really helps develop a lot of skills among students. So, moving forward, ma'am, do you think volunteering fosters could be beneficial for student development as well?
Yes, because volunteering again builds up these qualities which are essential for a leader. As simple as being empathetic, as simple as listening, as simple as all these may sound very simple, but they are very important qualities when you become a leader in the corporate life. So for students, in order to kind of grow, in order to develop these certain skills, I think it is important for them to do certain volunteering services. You also learn generosity. That's again doesn't come to everybody. That will and the determination to say, yes, sir, I can take it up. I can do this work and I'm available for doing something good for the society. So when students take up volunteering opportunities, I can actually see that these are the students who develop into wonderful individuals. They are the ones who are most successful in the corporate. They are the ones who are actually able to give back to the society from the corporate end as well. Like today, there are many organizations that actually give you, that pay you for the community service that you give. So that means they give you that time that you can do community service, but there is no pay cut. They say, okay, you want to go out for a week and you want to do community service. This is from our end, just take it. And you're paid for your every day, there's no loss of pay. So when organizations have started rethinking I think every individual, I would say it is ISR, individual social responsibility. And that is what would build the community. If each one starts getting into some volunteering service, like if I have to talk about how I associate with the NGOs, there are three important NGOs that I work very closely with. One is Dorai Foundation, which has its headquarters in Chennai. So whatever little I can do from my end in terms of voluntary contribution of funds, or even my efforts towards maybe connecting with some of the NGOs, because Dorai is an umbrella for several NGOs. So I do this kind of a connect. The second NGO or foundation that I would like to talk about is the Higher Education Forum, where we do a lot of thinking and rethinking on how we can innovate new methodologies for education. What can we do for the success of higher education? So we create a lot of panel discussions. We do a lot of award ceremonies. So I'm a core committee member of Higher Education Forum, part of the think tank of Higher Education Forum. The third that I want to again mention about is of which Dr. Sengupta is the founder and convener, is the My Retired Life, where whatever little that I can do from my end, be it even doing a session for them, or connecting them to certain speakers, or being there for certain occasions at My Retired Life, where we have a lot of senior citizens who are part of this foundation. So I feel every one of us, each one of us, should in some form or the other associate ourselves to building up such foundations and NGOs, which actually contribute a lot of strength to build the community.
That's really amazing, ma'am. So you have just mentioned why community services can help students in student development. So, and as our organizations have also started rethinking about this thing. So, do you think community services should be a part of the curriculum, and students should be evaluated based on their contribution?
Absolutely. Because I remember when I was in school, I had to collect some donations for Blind Foundation. At that time, Dilip Kumar Saab was the one who was spearheading this whole activity, and he had connected to various schools for funding for the blind. And I remember having gone door to door, collected money, and there was this satisfaction, the feeling that I'm doing something. Maybe I did not personally go there and work with the blind, but yes, I could do a little bit of it. Also cleaning, the playground, cleaning the beaches. So these were all small activities that we used to do as part of NSS, which I was part of. Today, at this age, when I'm, above 50, that still stays fresh in my mind. So can you see what is the difference that you can make to a child's mind if you bring in community service at the school phase, at the school stage? And then, yes, when today I am, heading a college, heading this business school, where probably community service will be least thought of. We decided to have a 2 weeks of NGO internship. So our students, close to 700 plus students at one time go and work with various NGOs. We are connected to more than 78 NGOs is where we worked last year. And we keep increasing the number of NGOs with whom we work closely. All our faculties become mentors. They become the NGO faculty guides during the internship. They also connect with the NGOs. The students start working with various NGOs. And I still remember one of my student, Sai Siddharth, who was also part of the NGO internship, and he interned with Dorai Foundation. And today, he's still associated with Dorai Foundation after 9 years of completion of his MBA. Okay, so that's the kind of connect that you create yourself, the bond that you create with community service. He is just one example. I can talk of so many of my students who would have just worked for 2 weeks in community service, and today they are associated with them for life. So, if we are able to bring community service in the curriculum, and the national education policy has actually brought it, into our curriculum, and I'm sure that many more educational institutions are going to embrace community service or community engagement for their students. This community engagement actually imbibes a lot of values, instills values in the students, and all the educators have to think about bringing community service as part of their curriculum. In fact, we have created it as a credit course. So your engagement with the community is also going to give you some marks for the kind of work that you have done. I think this has to be made mandatory in the curriculum. Only then, the nation will improve. We will be able to create a better world.
Absolutely, ma'am. That's a really great initiative by you, ma'am. Thank you again so much, Lakshmi ma'am, for being here. It was a pleasure to have you here. I hope, the audience got to learn a lot about how they should be engaged in this and how is it important for them. Thank you so much again, ma'am.
Thank you, Mehak. And I hope that, what I spoke about was straight from my heart, of course. And every teacher, every individual, I would call it, individual social responsibility. And if we are even able to do little, very little, I would say, and that will become, boon boon bane sagar. Yeah. I think each one of us, if we can add that drop to community building, we can make wonders. This world will be a better place to live. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And
absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, again. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a great day, you too. Thanks,
you, ma'am. And for all the viewers, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stuff like this. Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.